Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, depending on the time zone you're joining us from. We're delighted to have you with us today. I am going to be your host for the morning, myself, Vishar T. Malik. And before we even deep dive in, and while almost all of the people are joining, I'd love to know which region you're joining us from. Please mention it in the chat so that we can understand how global our audience is and where members are joining us from. We will wait for a minute before other people join. In the meantime, I will be looking at the chat and we have Ashwin from Hyderabad, Telangana. We have Rahul from Pune. Lovely to see you joining. We have Gasper from Tanzania. Wow. Febina from Indonesia. We have Anup from Australia. Perfect. I think this would be a good time for us to start. Before I deep dive into the webinar, I'd like to shed some more light about what Bizom is and what Bizom does. So, Bizom, at its core, is a route to market digitization platform. We work with 750 plus brands across the globe. We work in 35 plus geographies, helping them digitize and transform their sales and distribution processes. Over the years, we've also become pioneers in bringing AI into the CPG industry. At Bizom, we call our approach RI, or real intelligence. Unlike conventional AI, RI is designed to mimic human intuition, intelligence, and even emotions while combining it with data, logic, and actionable insights generated by AI. Essentially, it's a powerful blend of human intelligence and artificial intelligence, allowing businesses to make smarter, faster, and intuitive decisions. This sets the stage, and our deep expertise in both CPG and AI enables us to provide the platform for a fruitful discussion on agentic AI in CPG sales, frameworks, best practices, and the RI advantage. Now, let me move on and introduce our distinguished panelists who will be navigating us through this session and adding insights to this conversation. First, we have Mr. Sriji Gopinathan. Sriji has held leadership roles at some of the world's most respected organizations. Over his 32 plus year career, he has served as global CIO at Lupin, head of IT and digital at Reckitt, and held senior leadership roles at Philips, Procter and Gamble, ABB, and in fact ISRO. Today, he is also the founder of SKG Advisory, guiding organizations on business transformation, technology strategy, digital innovation. Shriji's expertise in bridging technology and business outcomes makes his insights invaluable for anyone looking to understand the future of AI driven CPG sales. It's a privilege to have you, Shriji.
Thank you very much, Vishar.
Moving on, we have Mr. Sridhar Panchikar. Sridhar brings in more than 37 years of leadership experience in the FMCG sector. He has led growth as the CEO of Elite Foods, President of Sales at Emami, and National Sales Director at Britannia, to name a few. Today, as the founder of Think Rock Consultants, he advises businesses on strategy, sales transformation, and scaling consumer brands in competitive markets. With his unmatched experience in building and scaling iconic consumer brands, Sridhar's perspective is essential for anyone wanting to truly understand the dynamic of CPG sales on the ground. We are privileged to have you, Sridhar.
Thank you. Thank you, Vishal. Happy to be here.
Finally, we have Mr. Rohit Agarwal, who is the Chief AI Officer at Bizom. He combines deep expertise in engineering and data science with experience at Siemens, GE Healthcare, and GE Digital. At Bizom, he focuses on building next generation AI solutions that make advanced technology more practical and impactful for the CPG and retail ecosystem. Rohit Sir's
Thank you.
work at the intersection of AI and practical business solutions positions him perfectly to guide us through the real world application of agentic AI. The entire idea behind mimicking human intelligence and AI and then making it into something that we call real intelligence is his brainchild. Thank you, Rohit sir, for being a part of this panel.
Thank you.
Perfect. So now let's deep dive in and start this session. I'll be very honest. When I was preparing for this session, I was obviously doing my own research and I came across a very, very interesting study. A recent MIT study showed that 95% of organizations, in fact, see no measurable returns from their AI tools, largely maybe because the technology is bolted or maybe it's not contextual to business systems. This is something that we'll figure out eventually. But to start and set the stage right, I will hand it over to Rohit to actually explain us what AI is, what history it has seen, and Rohit sir also double click on why is it getting so much attention today, why is AI wherever we go.
Sure. So it's a little a longish kind of a answer, so bear with me. So I'll start with a little bit of a history of how the development of AI started. So I would say mid 90s is the time when people started using data, whatever data they had, to generate some kind of predictions using simple algorithms like mean, median, standard deviations, and stuff like that. The reason was that the hardware was too expensive, like 2 MB of RAM would cost you like a fortune at that time. So the algorithms were also very limited in nature. Uh, Over a period of time, they saw some value in it, and hence the more and more data collection started happening. During, I would say, mid of 2005 or something, Netflix launched $1 million competition, which was supposed to be improving their recommendation engine. And that was a watershed moment in the entire approach to writing these algorithms. People went really crazy. They came up with some of the innovations like collaborative filtering, which is today the algorithm that powers all the recommendations. There were random forest kind of algorithms, and that's when the field of machine learning really came up. So as I always say, that there is a marketing angle also, because people don't like these jargons like random forest and all. So they come up with cool names like machine learning, and the world went crazy about machine learning. But there was nothing much happening on the images. The reason was that the algorithms were not that powerful, as well as the hardware was not ready there. So around 2012, there again used to be a competition, a yearly kind of an activity, which was called as an ImageNet competition. ImageNet was a set of I think lakh images or something like that, million images, and they were classified under certain classes like maybe aeroplanes, cars, and the competition was how to classify these images into these categories in a more accurate way. And around 2012, the approach that people came up with was around neural networks. So neural network was something that was that time in a very nascent stages, and that was the first time when it showed the real power, and they won the competition using that. In fact, one of the pioneers who made all this happen won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 2023. And that's when people started coming up with a new term called AI, because what, again, marketing people said that it behaves like a brain, so as to say. So let's call it as artificial intelligence. And from there on, this AI word has stuck. But again, there was nothing much happening on the textual aspect. NLP, or so as to say, the text was still a mystery. The reason being, all these algorithms need a lot of labeling, so as to say. So somebody has to say that this statement means what, and a text can be written in many ways. So permutation combinations are huge, and that was the reason why things were not happening much. It changed in around 2019 with a new kind of a algorithm called transformer, which solved this problem. And then a lot of work happened during that time, and but still the problem was that all these things were happening in the academia. or in certain companies where there were dedicated research groups which could do all this work. The common man had no idea that's happening, and that changed with the OpenAI ChatGPT. So I would say the number one contribution of that company is to make this thing in such a simple way that any common person can use. Also, they came up with certain use cases, like you can write your essays, you can write your letters, you can summarize the things. It became a very common man use cases, and that's where the popularity started coming up. It's like a Google search. Like search became so easy that anybody can now use it. But now what happened was that these things were okay to write all these letters and all, but there was no business value out of it. So that's where people started thinking, can I call certain functionalities also? Can I do some things and then ask the same thing to send a mail, or to do something kind of invoicing based on whatever data has been generated? And that's what the agentic AI is all about. Again, it's a marketing term. Marketing terms are generally fuzzy in nature, so that people keep arguing about them. But in nutshell, I would say OpenAI has a lot of things to do in making it very popular, as we know today.
Perfect, perfect, Rohit. I think you did address the right thing, because OpenAI got the popularity because now college students didn't have to do their assignments on their own. They had a backup to go ahead. But I'd like first Shriji for you to chip in here. So we understand that 95% of AI initiatives fail in general. Could you give us one reason each as to why do you think this is the case? Followed by Mr. Sridhar. I'd love for you to buy in also on this. You go.
Yeah, thank you very much, Vishar, for the question. I mean, see, it is not just an AI problem. You look at the history, any new technology that has picked up and gains momentum, it goes through a hype cycle, right? And AI has gone through the hype cycle. I think it's on the normalization path of that hype cycle, I think. And the reason why many of those kind of initiatives fail is because the organization leadership as well as the technology leadership, take a look at it as, okay, let's try this out because it's hot in the environment, hot in the industry, right? Rather than always focusing their question on what is the business problem that we are trying to solve. Is there any inefficiencies that we are trying to improve? Is it a customer experience issue that we are trying to fix? Is it a manufacturing throughput that we're trying to fix, and so on and so forth? Instead of looking at it from a business problem point of view and then deciding what technology is actually going to solve this problem. In many instances, you may not even need AI. Yeah, simple automation might work, simple RPA might work, a mobile app might work, or a business process re-engineering might be needed in certain cases. So if you do not take a look at these kind of topics that is picked up holistically and then decide what to use where, then failure rates are always going to be high. So in some cases, you start with the business outcomes, and then even then you fail. There could be technology issues there, so I'm not saying that there is never a technology issue. There could be technology issue when you do the electronic data assessment, and then you decide which algorithm to use, and how to go about the training of the algorithm, etc. Things can go wrong there. But this, in my opinion, is a lower proportion of the failure of the business scenarios that we deal with. So as long as we can have a very clear use case alignment along with strategy and the business goals of the organization, as long as we have defined a clear success metric for this, and then the probability of failure is low, probability of success is higher. So if there is no business problem clarity, and if there is no return on investment linkage established, and if you do not move with that goal clearly in mind, then you might fail.
Perfect. Perfect. I think lack of context or exact business context is something that does eventually lead to a lot of AI failures. I think, Sridhar, would you like to add something here from your
Yeah,
experience? Yeah,
just a
go ahead.
quick one. I have not been from the technology side, but more from the user perspective in the sales. Yeah, and I would put this into three big words. That first, communication about the relevance of what you are doing. Yeah, As a sales guy, if I know how am I going to benefit, is it going to simplify my life? Yeah. So that communication is very critical, coupled with training. Okay. And then adoption of what you have, gotten into the program. And last but not the least, consistency of usage. Okay, because unless you have used it consistently for a period of time, okay, the data which goes in is not robust. And as a result, the output which would come to you may or may not be, adequately satisfying to you. That's why I would say that, and I think Sriji has also already mentioned, Rohit has put across that first, the commitment of the senior management, and these three words: communication, adoption, and consistent usage. Okay. And somewhere all these organizations, or 95%, the number which is astonishing, which you mentioned, okay,
Yes.
they lack in one of the three. Yeah. And that is where it falls off. The program does not have a problem. Technology has really graduated from where it used to be, but I think the most of the implementers miss out on one of these things, other than the technical part, which Sriji already mentioned. Yeah.
Understood. Understood. Also, all the members of the audience, please feel free to write down your questions in the chat. As we go about this webinar, we will have a separate question and answer session to understand, to navigate further on your questions. But I think Shriji and Sridhar, I would like to double click on it. Let's direct this conversation towards why AI fails in the CPG industry, to make it more specific. So you guys have had senior leadership positions at some of the biggest conglomerates in the world. Sridhar, I'd like you to start with this one. What was your priority on AI when you helmed digital transformation throughout your career? Like, do you even think AI was a thing back then, or like, what is your standpoint on?
Okay. So we all heard Rohit mention, okay,
Yes.
how did the technology transformation start? Okay. It was to first to start with usage of the handheld, which used to be so big instrument.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
And more so of knowing where the field force is. Is it
Hmm.
going in time to the market? Is it covering the markets which we have asked them for? Okay. So, in a very simplified terms, it was to ensure attendance and order taking. Even the data transfer was not live. It used to happen in the evening. Okay. And many a times, sometimes after 2 3 days, right? So it was more manual. Okay. And uh, and I think the usage was left to the individuals to decide and implement. Okay. And
Yes.
that is what that the initial priority was, to ensure that all the field force starts using the
Same.
handheld, so that we have some data. Otherwise, earlier it was open to manual
Hmm.
paper DSRs, right?
Hmm.
Right. So I belong to that age, 99, which you mentioned, and I started heading sales. But I think that data became relevant over a period of time, because you wanted to know, is your field in market, what
Yes.
kind of sales are happening, what kind of products are getting pushed into different markets, and that need started to come in. So initially it was manual, Excel
Hmm.
based. However, over a period of time, now, I think it is graduated big time. Now you don't need to use handhelds, but it's on Android phones. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So it
But
has come a long way.
yeah, it has come absolutely long way. Okay. New companies have ready platforms to use, but implementation is critical. And that is what I mentioned earlier also. Yeah. But I think it is matured a lot. It's grown big time. It's now giving you actionable MIS more than leaving it to the interpretations of individuals, in my mind.
Perfect. Shiji, I'd like you to quickly chip into this when you were like, heading, and since you come from, you have touch base with a lot of IT digital transformations. We were discussing this earlier. What was your priority on AI? Were you entirely bullish on AI? Were you like skeptical of, bringing in AI into your system because it was too nascent at its stage? What was your standpoint on this?
I would say I was always practical about it. Not that I have never failed. Of course, I failed as well in multiple instances, right? But that's part of the game. Now, the other thing is the bar keeps changing in terms of measuring success versus failure. Right? As Sridhar was saying earlier, it was about getting the users, the Salesforce, to use the device and get some data in. Now, if you
Yes.
go and do that now, it's clearly a failure, right? Now, and earlier the providers were fragmented as well. They were DMS providers, they were SFA providers, then they were data lakes, data warehouse separately, etc. So now everything is available in an integrated solution. So
Hmm.
implementing that in itself is not a success. Implementing and making a business impact on top
Hmm.
line,
Hmm.
and probably even connecting that to the other parts of the value chain
Hmm.
in terms of supply planning, manufacturing, replenishment, forecasting. All those now becomes a
Hmm.
mark of success. Implementing SFA in a company is not success anymore, right? So you need to be aware of the maturity levels of the organization, the people, and then decide what success looks like.
Looks.
And do not just look at from a unidimensional point of view. The old
Yes.
world where we used to look at everything holistically still has to be important. It might need business process re-engineering. It might need some adjustments in the ERP that is implemented. It might need digitization of a
Hmm.
distributor, bringing him up to the levels that he can use it. It might need some a data lake sort of thing to be set up, or providers provide that facility in the edge itself to do that compute. So it really depends on what you're dealing with, who you're dealing with, and then you decide what success looks like and go after that.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you for that one, Shriji. Now I will be putting Mr. Rohit on the spotlight. I have two collective questions for you. The first one is so, and this is going to be a long question, Rohit. So I want you to stay with me on this one. So, in your years of experience, so I know that you have come across a lot of tools. You have used a lot of AI tools, and you have also developed a lot of AI tools with respect to the CPG industry and in general also. My first question to you, and I would want you to answer this in a crisp form, because the second question would also be very descriptive. Rohit, I want you to shed some more light on, can you comment on the readiness of CPG as an industry for the adoption of AI? And then second, we'll move on. Can you connect us to what exactly agentic AI is after that, so that we move on to that side of the webinar also. So let
Sure.
us understand what is the readiness of the CPG of AI in the CPG industry, and then please shed some more light on what exactly is this agentic AI, how is it different from normal
Okay.
AI.
Got it.
The stage is
Yeah,
yours, Rohit.
so see, we have been doing AI, or I would say, I don't say AI, I say intelligent solution for now at least 8 years
Hmm.
for the CPG industry. The,
Hmm.
but the but the things have really changed. See, earlier when we used to go and present our solution to the board
Hmm.
of a company, we were like mocked upon. People will say that, oh, how can you be better than our gut feeling? And we were literally thrown out of the meetings just by showing that there can be some intelligent solution for a workflow that is quite manual.
Hmm.
uh, but I think things have changed post pandemic. People started realizing that there is a value to the digitization, there's a value to the data,
Hmm.
and because of the whole AI propaganda, so as to say, people
Hmm.
have started at least giving us a chance to discuss about the possibility that can be done for their
Hmm.
use cases. They are
Hmm.
also ready to do some kind of a POC for a limited scenarios. So
Hmm.
things have changed a bit, and that is very encouraging also, because now we can actually focus on making more and more integrated solutions in our own app. Like earlier, the solutions would be little bit in a more collaborative kind of a way, because we did not want to disrupt the normal workflows. But now we are trying to build up the things which are integrated in the workflows itself,
Hmm.
because there is a readiness to at least try it out. Maybe in 1 or 2 years down the line, we may be successful in getting it to the mainstream production. But POC is definitely something that people are ready to
The
start.
acceptance has increased, is what
Yes,
you're saying,
that
over the period of time. Rohit, quickly double click on, what is this agentic AI? I've
yeah,
been trying to read a lot about it, but unfortunately, like, I
yeah,
haven't been able to come around what exactly it is and how is
yeah,
it
sure.
different from the normal AI.
Okay, fine. So today when we say AI, it is all about LLMs. So let's say that what is the difference between a general LLM and what is the difference between an agentic kind of a. See, how I describe agentic AI is an architectural pattern which comprises of an LLM, a
Hmm.
reasoning module, and a set of tools that can be called upon. Now I'll explain how.
Hmm.
See, if you so LLM is basically a model which has been trained on lots and lots of data,
Hmm.
practically the entire internet. So there is a very popular computer scientist, Andres Karpathy, who describes LLM as a zip or a compressed version of the entire internet where you can search very effectively. So
Hmm.
that's what it is. So you ask any question, it gives you the answer. Now, suppose the question is that can you give me an itinerary of 5 days for visiting Italy? So just making up an example. So LLM is very good in creating this kind of an itinerary because it has been trained on a lot of travel blogs, lot of this trip advisor kind of things, and so it can easily tell you all these things. But now this is not the end part of this entire use case. The end part is that I want my flights also to be there, my hotels also to be there, and some
Hmm.
kind of an restaurant recommendations also. Now these are dynamic parts. The flight things changes every day,
Hmm.
or so as to say every month maybe.
Hmm.
Similarly the weather changes, so these are certain things that cannot be built upon in the LLM at the time of training, like because
Yes.
the training happens over a period of 6 months and then no training happens after that. Then again
Yes.
some training will happen because each
Yeah.
training takes like millions of dollars. So you
Yeah.
cannot do it on the fly. uh, so how do you augment the capabilities of LLM and also give them an ability to do this dynamic nature? So now think about it. I have an LLM, I ask the itinerary, that's good. Now there are certain parts that I am saying that please tell me which flights to take from
Hmm.
Bangalore to say Rome. Now
Yes.
it has to understand first of all that this is the information I don't have. So that's where the reasoning comes into picture.
Hmm.
So that means that I need to search somewhere else. I don't have my knowledge. Now, what are the capabilities that I can use? I can use an internet search. Okay, so there is a capability that I can call an internet search and get the details. There is a capability that I can actually go to the particular site which is
Yeah.
more capable of giving me this information. So there are these bunch of tools, so as to say, or bunch of functionalities which can be called upon. So LLM is trying to decipher my message and
Yes.
then trying to reason out, should I be telling the information on my own or should I be asking somebody else to tell the information and then summarizing it all together? So that's what is the agentic part. So little bit of autonomous nature where it is not asking me what to do next. It already knows what to do next. So that is what is the agentic AI in a nutshell. And uh, I'm sure people try to explain it in a different way, but this is what works for us to explain to anybody in the industry. Um, so
Understood.
that is what my take is.
Understood, Rohit. Thanks for putting agentic AI into words. I will quickly go to Sridhar and Shriji for that one use case. So Rohit talked about autonomy, right? Autonomy essentially signifies that you're actually enabling them to make decisions for you in a stage, right? I want both of you, Shriji and Sridhar, and I'd like Shriji you to go first on this. Can you give me one use case each on where giving autonomy to an AI is valid and where it is not valid? Either one, you can pick either one of them.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, it again will keep it in the context of CPG. So if you look at valid use cases, I would say the generic category characteristics that you can apply is that if it is sort of rule based, it is urgent time based,
Hmm.
low risk, then we can apply agentic AI. Yeah,
Hmm.
one of the examples that I would pick will be trade promotions. Kind of how do you optimize or how do you keep that valid on a going basis and not just a static one. So the fact that Rohit was saying it can be proactive and autonomous, looking at what is happening in the market in a specific market also. It could be a state, it could be a district. Or looking at the dynamic data that is coming in, the agentic AI can see that okay, the sales is not probably doing well in this particular part of the state, or the state itself. Can we do something to do trade promotion to boost the sales? So that you then need to have a reallocation of that trade spend, maybe between channels, between geographies, whatever it is, right? So as long as there is a data based decision that can be taken by the agentic AI, I think
Yeah.
it is okay to give that power to the agentic AI.
Understood. Sridhar, over to you.
Yeah. However, the flip of that is, I think Sriji alluded to it. Some of the fundamental infrastructure corrections or should be kept away from any of these automation. For example, outlets in the route. Okay,
Hmm.
you know we need to go through a lot of effort to get the outlet registration right and create route. Okay, but I think individuals or even AI for that matter, we
Hmm.
should refrain from allowing it to delete outlets. Okay, it can throw up saying that certain outlets in this
Hmm.
route are not productive or they are not featuring in the right kind of listing. So if you want to optimize, and I think that those kind of areas is good to have,
Hmm.
which will help the management or the sales team to decide, okay, at a defined hierarchy level. Yeah,
Hmm.
but allowing that for AI to just purge outlets or the system to get outlets will be a no-no in my mind. Yeah.
Understood. Understood. I think payments could also be a crucial part here, right? If there's anything related to payments, that is something that giving AI an autonomy and without any lack of human intervention won't do good. Rohit, do you think this is a place where it is safe to give autonomy to AI in a very crisp answer?
No, no, I think both Shriji and Sridhar are mentioning the same thing, that when
Yeah.
it becomes a critical stuff which can actually cause some financial losses or maybe some productivity losses, I think human in the loop is the way to go. We can show a screen in between the workflow saying
Hmm.
that this is the payment that needs to be made or this is the
Hmm.
payment that needs to be collected,
Hmm.
but the final decision has to be on the human click. I mean, that is the safe way to go. Otherwise, people will become very, very suspicious about the entire thing.
Understood. Thank you, Rohit. Before we move on to the next aspect, wherein we discuss agentic framework, I'd like the audience to at least type yes in the chat for me to know that they are, with us and they are like active and they are like, understanding all the insights that all of our three panelists are providing. So please just text yes in the chat. And moving on, I think we will talk a bit about agentic framework, what exactly it is. It sounds very complicated, so I think, Rohit, I'll let you take this one from your experience and expertise. Can you break down the architecture of agentic framework and what are the layers? Are there agents, data, decision engine, governance? These are a few words I could find on the internet. How do they work together in synchrony? And then if you could also shed some light, because I've been very mindful of your efforts at Bizom. Can you also then differentiate between how we use all of this internally in our operations, because we as a company are very AI driven in also doing our tasks, and then we also serve it to external customers. So can you collectively, after you're
Yeah,
done explaining what framework is, shed some more light on the context with Bizom,
sure,
related to
sure.
Bizom? Yeah.
Sure. So, so as you asked me, there are two aspects to this question. One is how we do the operations and how why we basically offer it to the end consumers.
Yeah.
So, see, first of all, we don't call it as an agentic framework. We call it as an RI framework, and the reason is that we don't want to confuse our customer base. And there was a discussion also that not everything has to be solved with the most of the like a algorithm which is very advanced.
Hmm.
So just to summarize, what we do is can be done in a word called pragmatic. So P is the
Okay.
privacy. So we take care of the data privacy of the consumer of the customer. So
Hmm.
whatever system or solutions we build, we make sure that the data never leaves the premises or the cloud solution that we are using.
Hmm.
The second is the R, the real use case. So we are not solving any small problem for the sake of solving it. We will try to justify the business use case. And I think in the starting there was a discussion around why things fail, because people don't use the technology to solve a business case, but they use
Hmm.
the technology to just create some kind of a
Hmm.
hobby project. So
Yes.
we don't do that one. Then we use the algorithm that is most suitable for this particular problem.
Hmm.
So if suppose a problem can be solved by a statistical analysis, we will do that. If it can be solved with a LLM, we will do that
Yeah.
also. But it doesn't matter to the end consumer. For
Hmm.
end consumer, if the business is solved, it is solved.
Hmm.
Then the guardrails, that is very important, because as these models are taking all kind of information, they are also able to generate different kind of information also. So they can produce a content which is not supposed to be shown to the end user. So
Hmm.
there are certain rules that we have to say that obscene language cannot come, or the
Hmm.
logos has to be in the proper way. So these
Hmm.
kind of guardrails have to be provided, and we take it very seriously. Then scalability, and that's the reason why most of the companies struggle to take AI into their mainstream, is the
Hmm.
scalability factor. See, the problem is that a lot of these algorithms are very expensive, and they are expensive for the reason because they need a very specialized hardware to run
Hmm.
these. And hardware is not that cheap today, and
Hmm.
that's the reason why Nvidia is a trillion dollar company. So we need to make sure that the offerings that we are doing are first of all, they can be scalable.
Hmm.
So we try to use our own way of making it as a pan India or a pan nation kind of
Hmm.
a
Initiative.
offering. Then lot of things has to be work in a offline mode. See, so Bizom. So this is something that is a key aspect of Bizom.
Hmm.
That we also assume that our end user is not always online. He might be in a rural India where the network is not that great, but still he should be able to experience the intelligence in the workflows. And so a
Hmm.
lot of our workflows are synced up in the morning with all the intelligence coming in, and then
Hmm.
whenever he again comes back in the network, they are again synced up.
Hmm.
So that's how we manage. Then
Okay.
the output has to be trusted. So I mean, guardrails is one of the things, but
Hmm.
guardrails doesn't say that so suppose you ask for which are the top three SQs,
Hmm.
right? Now guardrails will just say that the in the list of SQs it should show at least SQs. It should not
Right.
should be the names of the people, or something
Hmm.
like that. But
Hmm.
whether these SQs are the correct one or not the correct one is what we do. So that is the trusted output. That's, and then finally, I would say the cost.
Hmm.
So we try to bring down the cost as much as possible. So this is
Hmm.
what we package it together and call it as an RI, and it has all the bits of the true framework, intelligent framework. But internally, what we are doing is this. See, suppose today there are so let's take a use case.
Hmm.
Uh, Suppose somebody wants to know what are my top selling SKUs and also tell me what are my top selling, what are the top valuable outlets. Now,
Hmm.
another person says that I want top selling schemes also. Now, there are two different type of companies who are asking for different kind of information.
Hmm.
Now, the conventional way would be that we will be coding for each of them. So we will be writing the long code to bring in three aspects in one case and two
Hmm.
aspects in another case.
Hmm.
The what we do is that, and which is where it is the truly agentic kind of a thing. We have
Hmm.
created these as the tools. So there are three tools in this picture. One is a
Hmm.
scheme, other is the outlet information, other is the SQ information.
Hmm.
Now, somebody says that give me a combination of outlet and the scheme. I will write a prompt
Hmm.
saying that please give me the details about top selling SQs and the top
Hmm.
selling schemes, and
Hmm.
create a small workflow for him. Okay,
Hmm.
so this is just a prompt that I am writing. The
Right.
other person needs a combination of SQ and outlet. I will create another prompt and give it to him. So my offering can be done very quickly because
Hmm.
all I need to do is that call the right tools and mix them together.
Hmm.
So this is what we have fundamentally changed.
Hmm.
And when we say that we are giving you a agentic output,
Hmm.
it has the characteristics of being a scalable and cost effective solution, as well as it is created in such a way that
Hmm.
it can be like configured as you want.
Hmm.
So that is what the LLM says, that you write a prompt and you get output on the
Output.
fly. Whatever prompt you write, you get the output. Same thing we also do in our offerings.
Perfect.
Hope
Perfect.
that
Yes.
answers.
Yes. Thank you for that one, Rohit. I think this one's for the audience. Type RI in the chat if you'd like to see these, RI agents that Rohit has created and was talking about in action. So please type RI in the chat, and our team members would get in touch with you to walk you through the specific CPG RI agents that we have developed. But coming back to the session, I think, Sridhar, I'd like your opinion on this. So Rohit explained us the framework of agentic AI. Let us move on to the field impact that it creates. I was reading somewhere that this might be very subjective. My question to you, Sridhar, would be: so one of the concerns with AI in sales is that it might interfere with organic relationships that the sales rep build with retailers, distributors, which is essentially the cornerstone of the CPG industry, right? So, with this agentic AI guiding reps through data backed suggestions, sometimes it might come off as hard selling, for the retailers. But the salesperson also have to take into consideration what the RI agent is suggesting them. Sridhar, what is your opinion on this? Do you think it will enhance those relationships and make those interactions more valuable? Or do you think it could, risk undermining the personal trust that has been created between these reps and retailers? Because then the retailer can tell them, you are just, believing on a digital platform, and then you're suggesting me. What is your take on that? And Shriji, I'd like you to
Sure.
be ready, because I think next I'm coming to you.
Yeah. So fundamentally, legacy system sales used to be relationship based.
Hmm.
Okay. The sales team had to give the confidence to the retailer that I am well wisher of yours. Okay.
Hmm.
But without data, it used to be a lot on the feel factor.
Hmm.
Banda regularly, the guy comes regularly or not? Does he service and solve his problem or not?
Yes.
However, with this kind of a development of tool, information, data,
Hmm.
the communication, the relationship will not get spoiled. I'm very sure about that. In
Hmm.
fact, the
Hmm.
communication will be more fact based. Okay.
Hmm.
And it's not this that the sales guy will only sell more to the retailer. Okay.
Hmm.
But he will sell him right.
Right.
Right quantity, right product at the right time. Okay.
Hmm.
Means he will sell more, he will upscale, he will upsell.
Hmm.
Yes, that's a point which you are trying to allude to. Yes, he will upsell, but at the
Yes.
same time, he will
Yes.
turn around. Okay, I'm assuming that the data is used well and used in the right spirit. So he will
Hmm.
also tell the retailer that reduce stock of some of the SKUs because you already have them. Yeah. Or if they are not selling in those markets, he will say, don't stock them. Yeah. So
Hmm.
it works both ways. In my
Hmm.
mind, I think fact-based discussion in any relationship is going to make it only further healthy and stronger. Okay.
Yes.
The
It
assumption is,
really.
as I said, the assumption is, as I said, communication and the usage and the value
Yes.
of that adoption and the data
Yes.
is correct. That's my assumption. Yeah.
Understood. So you're saying that there has to be this constant discipline when it comes to these AI agents. Again, communication, adoption, and so on and so forth. But
Yeah.
Shriji, do you have any different perspective on this, or do you also align with the fact that this will only increase the conviction in retailers? What's your take on this?
No, absolutely. I agree with Sridhar that this will help the
Hmm.
salesperson to have the
Hmm.
conversation in a meaningful data-based manner. However, there are some. So I would say, on the field, salesperson is still the boss.
Hmm.
Agentic AI is not the boss there, right?
Hmm.
Agentic AI is just going to assist salesperson to do his job better, right?
Hmm.
And I think whichever solution we provide, we have to give a provision for the salesperson to give a feedback into the system and why something that was recommended or suggested by AI and agentic AI did not work. So
Hmm.
the engine also then starts learning
Hmm.
better, and in the next time it can give a better guidance
Hmm.
or assistance. Now, there is another training factor here, or how the salesperson executes this data that he receives, right? If you
Hmm.
treat the outlet as a data point in your
Hmm.
conversation, if you just
Hmm.
say,
Hmm.
system is telling me, XYZ. If you have
Hmm.
the conversation with your
Hmm.
retailer like that, then the retailer will see that I'm a data point in a system. You are not worried
Hmm.
about me and my business. So
Hmm.
the salesperson should be using what the
Hmm.
agentic AI or recommendation engine giving to
Hmm.
them, and then
Hmm.
converse the normal conversation that he would have done, right? So
Hmm.
the salesperson also should look at it as, I have an assistant
Hmm.
with me who is
Hmm.
giving me all the information insights. So let
Hmm.
me not just be a
Hmm.
robot getting that information. I should be the person who has a relationship with the retailer. My idea is to improve the relationship using this real data rather than just using my gut instinct. So if that attitude is taken by the salesperson, the outcome is only going to be
Yeah.
positive.
Interesting. I think both Sridhar and Shiji swing in favor of AI assisted sales, and it's not only about upselling and cross selling, but I think what both of you are trying to convey is that it will bring more conviction because it is entirely backed on uh, data. I think moving on, I think Rohit, I will open this question to you. In the ground, what Shiji and Sridhar said is we're aligned on that. But I've also heard that these AIs tend to hallucinate. Right, this is a very ongoing term that what if they make the wrong decision, or like what if they tend to hallucinate. How do you think is Can you shed some more light on how do we take care of this, and then we will move on into understanding vendor evaluation and governance. So my
Yeah,
question to
sure.
you is, what is this hallucination that we talk about, and how do we deal with this in a system?
Okay. So let me just explain what is hallucination first, and then we will talk about what we do with this. See, these models are generally a probability model. So
Hmm.
basically, you give some kind of words, and it can
Hmm.
tell you what is the next word.
Hmm.
And that's why they are called as language model, because as I am speaking, my next word is based on what I have spoken till now. So
Hmm.
a very I would say well-known example is a cat is sitting on a, now it can sit on a mat also, on a sofa also, on a scooter also, on anything else. Now
Hmm.
what is the right word is the trick at how the models have been trained. So what is the probability of the next word is the trick that they all do. Now coming to our perspective in a real world scenario. Now, as I said, that we are trying to say give a opportunity to a salesman to find out which are my top selling SKUs in a shop.
Hmm.
Now I can write this. So assuming I am writing this as a prompt, I'm saying that and internally what is happening is that it is going to a database and fetching out the data, right?
Hmm.
Now I can actually create this as a text and ask the LLM to first create a SQL query, because databases are queried using a SQL query.
Hmm.
So do I want the LLM to write the SQL query? And
Hmm.
that is where the the, the probability part comes into picture, because
Hmm.
what is the chances that the SQL query that has been written by the LLM
Hmm.
went wrong? In a simple query it is okay, but when it is a complex query, so suppose I say uh, give me the all the top selling SKUs, also tell me which shops they were selling most on this particular day and give me the quantity and schemes. And also I give a long NLP text,
Yes.
and I want it to first convert it into a SQL query and then go to the database and bring it. 99% chances are that it will fail. It will
Hmm.
miss out certain things. It will not understand which is the sub query that I need to do, and whole lot of things.
Hmm.
So why people have this hallucination? Because they take this technology at the face of it. The people have said that you can interact in NLP, so we will start interacting in NLP.
Yes.
That's the biggest problem. We need to understand where this technology will fail. This technology will fail where you want to do a specific task. It's
Hmm.
very good in creative things. So you get the data and then you say that please summarize it in a meme
Hmm.
format, or in a way that Shakespeare writes. It is very creative in doing all that. But when it comes to fetching the real data, that's where the problem occurs. So what we do is that we separate the two tasks. The data fetching part we control,
Hmm.
and the data showing part, or the display part, is where we bring in the LLM and say that please generate a summary in a very simple way so that everybody can understand, or generate
Hmm.
the summary in a different language
Hmm.
of the region wherever it is being shown. So
Hmm.
so LLM is a very good English professor or a Hindi professor. It's
Hmm.
not a very good SQL agent, so as to say.
Got
So
you.
so that is where the hallucination problem
Hmm.
is tackled. That's my
Got.
take on this. Yeah.
Thank you, Rohit. I think now we will move on to the last part of before we obviously open the floor to the questions of the audience. So, all three of you have had senior leadership roles, right? And I would like all three of you one by one to shed light on the kind of questions that every decision maker should ask before committing to an AI partnership. And I think we'd start with Sridhar here, followed by Shriji, and then Rohit. You can also let us know that what are the right questions to ask. And I think all three of you will come from different perspectives. Maybe Sridhar could come from the business perspective side of it, Shriji could come from the combination of business and IT perspective, and then Rohit, you can come from the entirely AI perspective of it. So what are the right questions to ask? Sridhar, if you may take this one.
Sure. So I think first and foremost, it's extremely important. As I said, in the beginning, communication, and I think the communication between the vendor as well as the user is very critical. And for vendor to appreciate at what level of evolution I am, because what
Hmm.
Rohit was mentioning about
Hmm.
is that the system will hallucinate, but it will hallucinate because you also don't know what questions to ask so that you get right kind of information. Yeah.
Hmm.
And that's why it's important for we also to appreciate and understand and what level of evolution you are. Okay.
Hmm.
And then accordingly choose the kind of program
Part.
which you are going to take up. Okay. Number one is that. After that, obviously, the capability of this program riding on what other tools and other platforms which you are using and extract information from there. Very
Hmm.
critical. Okay.
Hmm.
Third part is the training and enabling the users so that they use it very well. Uh,
Yes.
is the vendor going to provide that? I would not like to call them a vendor, but I would actually call them as partners, because that makes a lot of difference. Okay, because both of you collectively are solving a business problem. Okay, and you are expert in some place. The client is expert in some place. So I think these are things, and I'm sure Shriji and Rohit will add more and more. Okay,
Hmm.
cost is obviously a part of it, and
Hmm.
how recurring it is another part of it. Yeah,
Hmm.
many a times you don't check that in the beginning. You consider that there is a development cost, but
Hmm.
there is always a recurring cost which is a part of life. Yeah, and
Right.
that is something which has to be appreciated. Fundamentally, right now, many of the users may not even know how much does it cost to really get that kind of infrastructure in. Yeah, and I think that knowledge to be brought on table by the vendor is also important. At the same time, client has to do his own research anyway. So I will leave it at that. Shriji would have a lot to add. Is technology.
Perfect. Before Shriji sir, you give us your inputs, I would like to double click on something very exciting that Sridhar said, which is also Bizom's perspective. The other time me and Rohit sir were discussing, it is very very crucial. First, to train the people who are going to use it, precisely said. But it's also about, the way you perceive this entire relationship. Again, the differentiation between a vendor and, seeing them as a partner also defines the kind of trajectory that relationship would take. So I think that was quite an interesting perspective, and that is something that we also tend to see from Bizom's perspective when we work with 700 plus customers, so on and so forth. But coming back, Shriji, what is your take on this? What are the questions you would ask for a vendor?
Yeah, so I think the first important point that I would say is the mindset of the business leadership and the key
Hmm.
people who are getting involved. Uh, what you just said, look at them as a partner. Don't absolve yourself of the responsibility and shift the responsibility to the vendor alone, right? So the first question to ask is, as business, what do you need from me to make this successful?
Hmm.
Okay, the business should ask that question to the vendor,
Yes.
and really discuss that and get it closed, right?
Hmm.
The second one is, can you explain, can your algorithm be explained in a way that my team, sales, supply chain, finance, whoever it is, can understand, so that the buy-in of the
Hmm.
outcomes is not in a fuzzy zone, right?
Hmm.
The third one is, I might be, yeah, most likely CPGs are long running organizations, and there'll be a lot of legacy systems. Can your
Hmm.
systems integrate with my legacy systems? If not,
Hmm.
how do we go about doing this? Is a very, very important point, because we don't want the system to be standalone. Okay, and then the last but not, there are many more questions, but I will stop with one more. How do
Yes.
we create proof of value, right?
Hmm.
Jointly, how do we create proof of value? And how do we show that sustained return on investment on a going basis?
Exciting, exciting, Shriji. Rohit, what is your take on this? What do you think are
Yeah,
the
yeah.
relevant questions?
See, I mean, I totally agree with Sridhar and Shriji that these are the things that needs to be taken care of. See, one more thing that I think from a point of a technology itself. See,
Hmm.
sometimes people try to oversell a technology, and this we have seen. Like somebody will say, I have a image recognition solution which is 100% correct. There is nothing called 100% in a algorithmic way. There is always, like soap ads, you see it is always 99.9% bacteria thing. There is always a chance to improve that soap. So same
Hmm.
way, the algorithm cannot be a 100% algorithm. It is a
Hmm.
probability algorithm. So I have heard conversations saying that I am doing now IR and I can find out all the inventory that is sitting in the store.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
can't, because there are bottles or the packages which are sitting behind the front package. So all you can see is the visibility. You can't see the inventory. So you should understand what is the use case that this particular thing can solve, and
Hmm.
don't over estimate a particular solution. I mean, that is the reason why people get afterwards a little bit frustrated also, that
Hmm.
somebody sold us this solution but it is not giving us the right ROI. I think that is the key point from a technology point of view. I mean, from a change management, I 100% agree. Unless and until the solution is not understood by the leadership and the people who are the custodian of that solution,
Hmm.
it is not going to work out. So we ourselves start with a small pilot and then go full blown.
Got
That's the way we also work. Yeah.
Understood. Understood. That has been quite insightful from all three of you, understanding, how to evaluate a vendor before we directly deep dive. Because see, no one wants to miss out on AI trend these days. Even business leaders that I talk to are like too intrigued by what AI is doing and what AI is shaping up. So I think the right questions are very, very important to ask. I think coming to questions, we have the questions that were, shared by the audience also. So I think, Sridhar, I'd like to start with you. The first question that was from Akash was, what are the actual productivity uplift, percentages being achieved with agentic AI? Because we hear lofty claims like 30 to 50%. Do you think, Sridhar, is that real, or what is your take on it?
So very honestly, I don't know who managed to quote these percentages straight away. Okay,
Okay.
and the I think the belief, and that is where I will go back to our point of how committed are you in
Yes.
implementing this well. Okay,
Yes.
now it is very unfair to start
Hmm.
estimating 30, 40, 50%
Hmm.
swings straight
Hmm.
away. Okay, unless you have hard data to suggest that. I would
Hmm.
say your fundamental system, if it was very inefficient, by
Hmm.
looking at data, if it's going to give you 40-50% swing, it is
Hmm.
not agentic AI, but probably your discipline of market work and ways of work has paid off.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm not saying agentic AI will give only incremental growth, but it will
Yes.
give you far more fact-based, actionable information
Hmm.
directed specifically to markets, to
Hmm.
portfolio, to days work. Okay,
Hmm.
and that will give you a swing. So very important. It's very important to have fundamental data right.
Hmm.
Okay, be
Hmm.
consistent in usage in
Hmm.
full. Okay, and I want to underline this word in full. Okay,
Hmm.
consistently, and then keep track and then measuring where have your actual physical efforts paid off in
Hmm.
growth, and where has actual usage of data and information paid you off in the growth. Yeah, this is very critical to separate out. It is
Hmm.
not very easy to quote numbers like this. I wish I could confirm
Hmm.
what are the possible percentages. Yeah.
No,
You might have the use
yeah.
cases, but I would not like to put a number to it. I'm sorry, I don't know if I've answered the question of the individual.
No,
I think it's
yes.
important to look at it that way. Yeah.
Yes. No, Sridhar, we get the idea. I mean, you need to give it time, training, and all the essential, arsenal to go ahead and then, start performing. I think, Shriji, I will be coming to you for the next question. The next question was posted by Anushka. She asked, "How do you think agentic AI will, change the CPG industry in the next 5 to 10 years, especially in terms of making decisions automatically?" So I wanted to double click on what do you think the future trajectory might be. Do you think there will be a time when there will be no sales rep on the ground, everything would be done by AI? What can you help me visualize maybe 10 years down the line? Where do you think AI will head towards?
Um, but let me answer that, that first final thing that you said first. I don't think you will ever replace human relationships with technology, right? You might be able to replace a low-level coder.
Hmm.
That might be possible, but when you have to strike a business deal,
Hmm.
of sales, human relationships are going to be at the core of it. Now, agentic AI will shape how that gets done,
Hmm.
how the quality of that gets done, how the
Hmm.
percentage of conversions go up, and build that relationship for a mutual growth. Yeah, and not
Hmm.
from the point of view of the headquarters is directing me to do this, so let me do this, let me push my distributor or retailer. It has
Hmm.
to be about mutual growth. So agentic AI brings all the data that can be brought
Hmm.
together from the edge as well as from the center, central
Hmm.
systems,
Hmm.
which then gives an enriched way of interacting in the market. Now,
Hmm.
where things could really significantly impact is the back end of the value chain, where
Hmm.
certain decisions that can be taken, as I said, want to go to a continuous replenishment. Why do you need a human in
Yeah.
the loop? If you have set your norms and rules properly, you probably don't need a human in the loop.
Hmm.
But the front end sales, you still need that human in the loop. I don't think
Inter-
that's going to really change. You might have more coverage per salesperson because he has become more efficient.
Yes, but the intervention of humans has to stay for AI to perform to its code. I think,
So,
Rohit, I will be.
so I think
Yes.
you are right, CG. The span of
Yes.
controls might expand a bit, and as a
Yes.
result, the manpower will become more efficient. Yeah,
Yes.
but individual touch not possible in
No.
Indian conditions for sure. Okay, I would say not anywhere in the globe. Okay,
Yes.
so I think that's very
That is
valid.
that. That is an interesting by Shriji and Sridhar. I think, Rohit, I will be coming to you for the next question. Himanshu Chadha asked us, can you share some AI tool to work on maybe projections or forecasting, maybe taking into account seasonality or other factors that go beyond sales numbers?
Yeah, so I don't think that there is a ready-made AI tool, but there are approaches, and you can look into some of the algorithms that will help you out. Like for example, the decision trees is a good set of algorithms. So this is a
Hmm.
or or there are boosting algorithms that help you out in these kind of aspects. See, there is no one fit all kind of a solution. You need to check, and that's where the ensembling approaches also come into picture, where you You try multiple algorithms, then take a kind of an average output of all these algorithms and give out an answer. So certain algorithms will be very good in projecting for the future. Certain algorithms are good in understanding the current scenarios. So regression techniques are very good in forecasting. But to take the seasonalities and to take the dynamics of the system, maybe a tree-based algorithm is a better algorithm. So you need to take both the things. It's like a mutual fund. You need to have all kind of things which are growth related also, which are hybrid also. So and that gives the output
collectively.
in the state.
If I add one line to that, yeah, I mean, Himanshi, if you Google which are the integrated business planning tools out there, you will find which are the best ones without me taking the names. But as Rohit was saying, it is not really the tool. It is how you make use of the data to integrate the AI outcomes onto that IBP tools. Yeah, that's when you get better projections and forecast.
Yeah,
Yes. Last question, and we will close this session. And this is open to all three of you, which would be Arun. Arun Kumar has a very interesting question, which I would have loved to answer myself, but I have zero clue on how to answer it. Which is how to measure the success of deploying agentic or real agentic AI. Like, how do you quantify that? You know what I've because see, the generation that I come from, more than actually giving it the time to perform, we're more interested in understanding the outcomes that it has prospered, maybe in 10 days, in 15 days, or even a shorter time duration. The question open to all three of you is, how do you quantify the success that you get from deploying these agents? And what is your approach on even understanding how to quantify that success? We'll start with maybe Rohit and then followed by Shriji, and then Sridhar sir, I'd like you to add final flavor to this.
So I don't know the right answer, but I would say that if suppose we take a use case, so as Sridhar and Shiji were mentioning, like making the salesman productivity better. So suppose that is the yardstick that we are looking at, and can we bring in our tools or the offerings to enhance that? So just give you an example. Like today, if you see a salesman, or not today, meaning I mean 5 6 years back, a salesman is going to a shop, he is writing it on a piece of paper, the order. Now from that it became a mobile based order taking, which improved the time it takes for him to punch the order and for the distributor to deliver the order. So that's a productivity lift. Now you combine it with more intelligence. Now what to sell over there, how much to sell is another decision point. It can it can end up in a overstocking or an understocking. Both are bad for the company, especially for a perishable good. Overstocking means expiry date products which cannot be sold. It has to be taken back, which is a huge amount of loss. So can I target a problem, and can I take it to the next step by solving it using the intelligent products? That would be the success scenario, and that's how we also approach. Before approaching any brand with a solution, we try to understand what is the problem that is
Yeah.
mostly hitting them today, and accordingly we try to figure out what can be the answer for that. um, Again, because it's a very abstract kind of a thing, something can if you are not selling a perishable good, the returns is not a problem for you at all. It can sit for year also. But if you are in a milk business, the returns are a huge problem for
Yes.
you, and that's where the lift will come.
So, Shriji, your take on this?
Yeah,
How do you
so
quantify
so,
success?
so Arun,
Yes.
how you measure the success of anything in your business does
Yeah.
not change with the technology that you use, right? I go back to the initial statement that I made. It's a business outcomes that you're trying to drive. Are you achieving the business outcomes, whichever technology, agentic or not, right? That is how you will measure success. Now, you might have various in-process measures in the journey there. Now, if you go to the technical side of it, somebody who is coding this algorithm, has he done it in a very efficient manner, so that the outcome doesn't take too much time? So that's an in-process measure that you can have to improve the efficiency of how you achieve the outcome. But the final measurement of the success is the measurement of your business outcome, like what Rohit was just explaining. Depending on your sector, your business, what are you trying to drive? Have you achieved that?
Understood, Shriji. Sridhar, your take on this?
Yeah, a quick one. I think we should not consider AI and information as the, the final verdict of. Ultimately, there is no replacement to diligent working, hard work, okay,
Yes.
and also thinking what's right for business. Yeah,
Hmm.
and that will have to happen by the individuals and managers, right?
I think.
So AI will be a great enabler. We
Hmm.
need to look at it that way, okay, and
Hmm.
not expect it to create magic, okay, for giving us growth straight away. Growth will
Hmm.
continue to come, okay,
Hmm.
if you are doing right stuff, okay.
Hmm.
Ultimately, the output is, as Sriji mentioned, that if your top line is going up and
Hmm.
your bottom line is improving because you
Hmm.
are following certain processes which are
Hmm.
enabled by the data and right kind of MIS, is the
Hmm.
critical factor to it. Okay. If the business
Oh,
is not shaping up, you are doing so much of usage of technology, it
there is
is
no.
not worth it any which way. Yeah.
Exciting, exciting. Sridhar, Shriji, Rohit, thank you. This has been a great ride. I think your insights and your expertise, experiences have definitely helped all the members here. So thank you for taking out the time. Thank you for informing us about what is going to happen next, how is it shaping up, how to take better decisions, how to take more efficient decisions. I think overall we also understood that discipline, learning, training is very essential part of the AI conversation that we were constantly having. That was my takeaway from this multi-dimensional conversation that we had. Just the last thing that I'd like to say to the audience is that for those who have not mentioned RI in the chat but would be interested to understand more into what's cooking in Bizom when it comes to RI, when it comes to AI, and how we're leading trade innovations, please type RI in the chat and someone from our team will get back to you. Perhaps if someone would want a one-on-one session with Mr. Rohit Agarwal, they can contact me, and I will make sure that I, pester him enough that he gives us all of the time, and we take this ahead. So, Rohit said, now you have to be prepared for all the action that comes our way. And Sridhar and
Sure.
Shriji, we will continue to hold more of these sessions. I think we have a lot to learn from both of you. Rohit sir is a part of our organization, so it's an everyday thing for us. So I will not pinpoint it right now, but I think your both of your expertise has also helped us in shaping up, bringing in the business perspective, bringing in the IT perspective. It has been a joyful ride. I think the last question that someone has is, what is RI? I will quickly just close on this. RI is what Bizom calls its AI. It is an amalgamation of human intuition, human intelligence, and artificial intelligence. So you use emotions, you mimic how humans think, and then you put it with all the data insights that is gathered by AI. When you combine it, you have real intelligence. So thank you for all of you for giving us the time. And again, please type RI in the chat if you would want a one-on-one session with our Chief AI Officer, Mr. Rohit Agarwal. It's been a great, great, great time having all of you here. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.